All right, so let's jump right in. Today we're going to unpack the story of a guy whose biggest dream was completely, totally destroyed. And somehow, that failure is what made him a legend. This is the incredible story of Robert Schumann.
But first, I've got a question for you. Just think about this for a sec. What if the one thing you failed at, the thing that felt like the absolute end of the world, was actually the secret key to what you were really meant to do? Just hold that thought, because it's pretty much the entire plot of Robert Schumann's life.
So let's meet our main character. This is Robert Schumann, born way back in 1810 in Germany. And from a super young age, this kid had one massive, all-consuming goal: to become a piano virtuoso. And I'm not just talking about being good. He wanted to be a legit rock star of the piano, famous all across Europe.
And his early life kind of looked like the perfect setup for it. His dad was a bookseller, so Robert grew up surrounded by stories and poetry, which, spoiler alert, is going to be super important later. He started piano as a kid, got himself a top-tier teacher named Friedrich Wieck, and his goal was crystal clear. I mean, he was on a perfect path, just grinding every single day to level up his skills.
He was completely all in, practicing constantly, totally dedicated. Everything was going exactly according to plan until, well, it wasn't. This is that moment where the story just takes a massive, unexpected turn.
And here it is, a hand injury. Now, we're not talking about some minor sprain he could just recover from. No, this was a career-ending, dream-crushing disaster. Just try to imagine dedicating your entire life to one single thing, and then suddenly it's physically impossible for you to do it anymore. Just like that, his dream of being a concert pianist was over, gone.
So this is the big moment, right? What do you do when your whole life's plan just shatters into a million pieces? You pivot. I mean, look at this. It tells the whole story. The dream of performing music that other people wrote was dead. So he just completely flipped the script. Instead of just playing music, he decided he was going to create it. He was going to build his own musical worlds from scratch.
And you got to understand, this wasn't like a second-place prize. This was a total reinvention. He couldn't be the performer out on the stage, so he decided, okay, I'll be the genius behind the music itself. He was finding a totally new way to win the game.
It's like he unlocked a whole new skill tree. He took that love of books his dad gave him and started pouring it right into his music. He wrote these amazing piano pieces, like one called Carnival, where every little section is like a different character you'd meet at a party. And get this, he also became a music critic. Basically, he was the 19th century version of a top YouTuber reviewing the latest game releases, except, for music.
But here's where he really changed the whole game. See, before Schumann, songs were, well, they were just songs. He came along and turned them into something huge. It was almost like he invented the idea of the concept album, where a whole bunch of songs come together to tell one single big story.
He did this with something called Lieder. Now, I know it sounds kind of fancy, but the idea is actually super simple. Imagine a music producer finding an incredible poem, some really deep lyrics, and then creating the perfect piano track to capture that exact feeling, that exact vibe. In his songs, the piano isn't just backup music. It's a total co-star with the singer, helping to tell the story and paint this whole emotional picture.
And this is the exact kind of vibe he was going for. He would take poetry like this, all about that intense feeling of a new crush, when everything feels possible and exciting, and he would literally give it a soundtrack.
His most famous concept album is called Dichterliebe, which basically means a poet's love. And it is, no joke, a relationship playlist in 16 tracks. It takes you on the entire emotional journey, starting with the butterflies of a new crush, building to the high point of being totally in love, then the crushing heartbreak, and finally that quiet part where you're just looking back on the memories. It's a complete story.
So let's talk about his legacy, right? The guy who failed at becoming a pianist ended up as one of the most important musical influencers of his entire era. And the music he made, it was like nothing else out there. Okay, the best way I can describe his music is like this. Imagine you're in a video game, and you're just walking through a peaceful, happy little village. The music is light, it's cheerful, everything is calm and good. And then, bam! Out of absolutely nowhere, the music just flips. It gets dark, it gets intense, and you are suddenly in a surprise boss battle. That's Schumann. He absolutely loved those huge, dramatic shifts in mood, and it's what made his music so incredibly exciting and emotional.
His whole life was this journey of incredible highs and really devastating lows. You can see the key moments here. The injury that changed everything, marrying the piano superstar Clara Wieck, creating Dichterliebe. But it's also really important to know that he struggled a lot with his mental health, especially later in life. And that constant battle inside him, that fight between light and dark, you can hear it in his music. It's what makes it feel so raw and so real.
So in the end, what happened? He wasn't just some forgotten pianist. He became one of the absolute giants of the Romantic era. His pivot didn't just save his career, it defined it. And honestly, it changed music forever.
So if there's only one thing you remember from all this, let it be this right here. Schumann's failure as a pianist was the very thing that unlocked his true genius as a composer. The door that broke forced him to find a new one, a much better one.
And that brings us right back to the question from the beginning. A plan is just a plan. Sometimes, the best things in life happen when it all falls apart. So, what could you achieve if you weren't afraid to change yours?